Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast ocean, watching the waves come and go. Some waves rush back to shore almost immediately, while others take their time, rolling gently across the deep waters before returning. This simple image from nature holds within it one of the most profound mysteries of our existence, a truth that has puzzled humanity since the beginning of time itself. Why do some spirits return to Earth for a new life in just a few short years, while others remain in the spiritual realm for decades, centuries, or even longer before they are ready to come back? The answer to this question is not simple, but it is beautiful, and it reveals something extraordinary about the nature of our souls and the incredible journey we are all taking towards spiritual perfection. What you are about to discover may change forever the way you see your own life, your struggles, and your purpose here on Earth. The first thing we need to understand is that reincarnation does not work like standing in line at a store where everyone waits their turn in the same way. The spiritual world operates according to laws that are far more sophisticated, far more loving, and far more just than anything we might imagine. The time each soul spends in the spiritual realm before returning to physical life depends on many deeply personal factors that are unique to that individual spirit. It depends on how much the soul has learned in previous lifetimes, on the mistakes it needs to correct, on the debts it must repay, on the lessons it still needs to master, and on the level of awareness and maturity it has achieved through all its experiences across countless lifetimes. Think of spiritual evolution like climbing a great mountain where each person moves at their own pace, stopping to rest when needed, pushing forward when ready, always guided by invisible hands that never force but always encourage. When a spirit leaves the physical body and crosses through the doorway we call death, something remarkable begins to happen. The soul enters into a period of adjustment and learning in the spiritual world, and this period can last anywhere from a few months to many hundreds of years, depending on what that particular spirit needs at that particular moment in its eternal journey. In those first hours and days after passing, the spirit goes through a process of recognition, slowly realizing that it still exists, even though the physical body is gone. Loving spiritual guides come forward to help with this transition, surrounding the newly arrived soul with compassion and understanding, helping it to feel safe and supported during what can be a confusing and sometimes frightening experience. Then begins one of the most important parts of the entire process, something that Allan Kardec wrote about extensively in his foundational works on spiritual truth. The spirit enters into a deep and thorough review of the life it just lived, seeing everything again, but this time with crystal clear vision that penetrates through all the lies we tell ourselves while we are alive. This review is not like flipping through old photographs or watching a movie on a screen. It is an intense, immersive experience where the soul actually relives the most significant moments of the life that just ended, but now with expanded perception that allows it to see not only its own actions, but also the ripple effects those actions created in the lives of everyone it touched. Imagine being able to feel what other people felt because of your words, your choices, your presence, or your absence in their lives. Imagine experiencing the joy you brought to someone with a simple act of kindness, or feeling the pain you caused someone through thoughtless cruelty or cold indifference. This is what happens during the life review, and it is both beautiful and terrible at the same time, because truth always is. The soul sees itself with complete honesty for perhaps the first time ever, stripped of all the excuses and justifications and defenses it built up during physical life. During this profound review, something transformative takes place deep within the spirit. It finally understands where it succeeded and where it failed. It sees with absolute clarity the opportunities for growth that it embraced, and those it threw away because of pride, fear, laziness, or selfishness. It sees the moments when it acted with genuine love and compassion, and the moments when it chose hatred, revenge, or simply did nothing when it could have helped. This understanding creates different reactions in different souls, and these reactions determine almost everything about what happens next. Some spirits feel deep and sincere regret, a burning desire to make things right, to go back and try again, to find the people they hurt, and somehow make amends for the damage they caused. These souls demonstrate humility and genuine willingness to change, and this attitude opens doors for them in the spiritual world that lead to preparation for a relatively quick return to Earth. Other spirits react very differently when confronted with the truth about themselves. They respond with anger, denial, blame, and self-pity. They refuse to accept responsibility for their failures, always finding ways to make themselves the victim, always pointing fingers at circumstances or other people instead of looking honestly at their own hearts. These souls are not punished for this reaction because the spiritual world does not work through punishment the way we imagine it. Instead, they simply remain in the spiritual realm much longer because they are not yet ready for the challenges and opportunities that a new physical life would bring. It would be like asking a child who cannot yet read to complete a university examination. The child simply does not have the preparation needed, and forcing the situation would only create more confusion and suffering. The spiritual realm, in its infinite wisdom and patience, allows each soul to grow at its own pace, offering guidance and support, but never forcing anyone to move forward before they are truly ready. Another powerful factor that determines how long a spirit stays in the spiritual world has to do with the bonds of love that connect souls across time and space. Many spirits choose to remain longer in the realm beyond because they want to stay close to children, spouses, parents, or dear friends who are still living on Earth. They become loving guardians and protectors, watching over their loved ones from the spiritual dimension, inspiring positive thoughts, warning about dangers through intuition and dreams, offering comfort during difficult times in ways that the living person might not even recognize, but can certainly feel in their heart. This choice to postpone returning to physical life in order to serve as a spiritual protector for those still on Earth is seen as noble and beautiful by the spiritual guides, because it demonstrates selfless love and genuine concern for the well-being of others, qualities that are absolutely essential for true spiritual growth and evolution. There are also spirits who become trapped in the lower vibrations of the spiritual world, not because they choose to stay there, but because the weight of their own negative patterns and attachments keeps them locked in darkness. These are souls who lived on Earth in an extremely materialistic way, concerned only with physical pleasures, money, power, status, or addicted to substances and behaviors that completely dominated their existence. When they leave the physical body behind, they discover with shock and horror that they can no longer satisfy these cravings because they no longer have the physical instrument needed to experience those sensations, but the desire continues burning inside them like a fire that never goes out. They wander through the darker regions of the spiritual realm, staying close to the Earth's surface, desperately trying to find ways to feel again what they used to feel. Some even attach themselves to living people who have similar addictions and weaknesses, influencing their thoughts and actions in negative ways, trying to experience indirectly what they can no longer feel directly. These suffering spirits can remain stuck in this terrible condition for a very long time, sometimes for centuries, until they finally grow tired of the pain and accept the help that spiritual workers continuously offer them. Never giving up on anyone, no matter how lost they may seem. The preparation of a spirit for a new incarnation is a complex and careful process that involves much more than simply choosing a family and a body. There are specialized schools in the spiritual world where souls study deeply the laws that govern life, evolution, karma, and the relationship between cause and effect. They learn about the consequences of every action, about how free will works, about the importance of inner transformation and character development. Some spirits absorb these teachings quickly because they bring from previous lives a solid foundation of spiritual knowledge and understanding. Others need decades or even longer to begin comprehending truths that are completely new to them. The time spent in the spiritual world also serves to allow the soul to rest deeply from the battles it faced in the last incarnation, to heal emotional wounds that may have been carried for many lifetimes, and to gather strength for the new challenges that will come. Allan Kardec explained in his writings that everything in the universe follows divine laws that are perfectly just and perfectly loving, and the varying times that souls spend between incarnations is simply one expression of this divine perfection that respects the unique needs and circumstances of each individual spirit. Before we continue with more of this fascinating exploration, we want to pause for just a moment and speak directly to your heart. If you have stayed with us this far, reading these words and really thinking about what they mean, it tells us something important about who you are. You are not someone who is satisfied with shallow answers or easy distractions. You are searching for something real, something true, something that can help you make sense of this mysterious journey we call life. That searching spirit inside you is precious and rare, and we want you to know that you are not alone in this quest. There are others just like you, people who watch these messages and read these words because they sense that there is more to existence than what we can see with physical eyes. We are building something special here together, a community of souls who support each other, who share their experiences and their questions, who walk this path toward understanding side by side. If these reflections have touched something in you, if they have brought comfort or clarity, or simply made you feel less alone, we would be deeply honored if you would choose to subscribe and become part of this spiritual family we are creating. But even more than that, we genuinely want to hear from you. Leave a comment telling us what you felt while reading this. Share your own experiences, your doubts, your moments of spiritual awakening. Tell us what questions keep you up at night, what mysteries you most want to understand. Your voice matters here. Your story matters here. This is not just a place where you receive information. It is a place where real human beings connect with each other in the most meaningful way possible through honest conversation about the things that matter most. So please, take a moment right now and let us know you are there. Tell us who you are and what brought you here today. We promise to read every single comment with genuine interest and respect. A fascinating aspect of this entire process is that sometimes a spirit very much wants to return to Earth quickly, but the spiritual mentors who guide that soul recommend waiting a bit longer. This happens because these wise guides have a much broader view of the bigger picture and can identify the ideal moment for each reincarnation. They consider factors that we cannot even imagine from our limited earthly perspective. They look at the availability of families that can provide exactly the right experiences and challenges that particular spirit needs for its next phase of learning. They study astrological configurations that will be most favorable for the type of mission that soul must accomplish. They coordinate with other spirits who have old commitments and connections with this soul, making sure that everyone who needs to incarnate together will arrive on Earth during the same general time period so they can find each other and fulfill promises made long ago. They even consider the social, political, and economic conditions of the world, knowing that these external circumstances can either help or hinder the completion of the incarnation plan. Everything is carefully arranged, with a love and wisdom that goes far beyond anything our limited minds can fully comprehend. There are also special situations where highly evolved spirits return to Earth in extremely short periods of time because they accept missions of great importance for humanity as a whole. These are souls who no longer need to reincarnate for their own evolution because they have already reached very high levels of consciousness, wisdom, and universal love. But they choose voluntarily to come back anyway because their greatest joy comes from serving, from helping, from making a positive difference in the lives of other beings. They return as scientists who will bring revolutionary discoveries that advance human knowledge. They come as artists who elevate human sensitivity through beauty and creativity. They incarnate as philosophers, teachers, and reformers who illuminate minds with new ideas and inspire social progress. They walk among us as humble workers who spread quiet kindness everywhere they go, never seeking recognition, but always leaving the world a little better than they found it. These missionary spirits typically have very short intervals between one incarnation and the next, because their work is urgent and necessary, and they themselves ask to return as quickly as possible because service to others is the very source of their happiness. On the other hand, there are spirits who remain in the spiritual world for extremely long periods because they still carry within them an immense pride that prevents them from accepting that they need to return to Earth in simple or even difficult conditions in order to learn fundamental lessons about humility, compassion, and surrender. They want to reincarnate, but only if they can choose comfortable situations, wealthy families, perfect bodies, lives without serious challenges or hardships. The spiritual mentors explain patiently that evolution does not work that way, that we often need to pass through experiences of limitation, pain, and difficulty precisely in order to develop qualities we lack, such as empathy, patience, perseverance, and detachment from material things. But some stubborn spirits refuse these opportunities for a very long time, preferring to remain in the spiritual world in a kind of relative comfort zone rather than face the challenges necessary for their growth. Eventually, after much reflection and guidance, most of them finally accept the conditions that life offers and return to continue their evolutionary journey. But this resistance can delay their progress by many years or even centuries. Understanding these mechanisms of reincarnation helps us look at our own current life with much greater awareness and sense of purpose. If we are here right now, in this moment, reading these words and thinking about these profound matters, it is because at some point in the recent past, when we were still in the spiritual world preparing for this return, we made important choices. We chose this particular time in history to be born. We chose these specific circumstances to face. We chose these particular people to meet and these particular challenges to overcome. Nothing happens by accident or coincidence. Everything has a greater purpose that we may not always see clearly while we are caught up in the daily struggles of earthly existence, but when we expand our vision and begin to perceive that we are eternal spirits, having a temporary experience in physical form, everything takes on new meaning and every obstacle transforms into a precious opportunity for growth and learning. Before we say goodbye for now, we want to extend one more invitation to you, and we speak these words with all the sincerity and warmth in our hearts. If these reflections have awakened something inside you, if they have touched old wounds that needed healing or illuminated dark corners of your soul that were crying out for understanding, please do not keep this experience to yourself. Subscribe to this channel and truly become part of this spiritual family we are building together. More importantly, leave a comment sharing your own journey. Have you had experiences that confirm these spiritual truths? Have you felt the presence of a loved one who passed away? Do you have questions or concerns you would like to see addressed in future content? We genuinely want to hear from you. We want to know your story. We want to walk beside you on this search for truth and light. Suggest topics you would like us to explore together. This space belongs to all of us. It is a meeting place for hearts seeking honest answers to the great questions of existence. Your presence here is not random chance. It is a meeting of souls who recognize each other across time and space. Together, we are stronger. Together, we shine more brightly. Together, we can build bridges of love and wisdom that cross the chasms of ignorance and suffering. We are counting on you in this sacred journey toward the spiritual evolution that is the glorious destiny of all humanity.